What's going on, guys? Welcome back to We Want Picks. My name is Jacob, aka the Freckle Salamander. Thank you for joining me here for my first ever quick pick video for UFC 280. We're going to start doing this every single week. If you want the full breakdown, analysis, bets, everything, join me and Angelo on our Tuesday live streams every single week. We will go back and forth and argue about every single fight. If you want Angelo's quick picks, check out his video from yesterday. Quick pick video every single week. I will be live every single Wednesday and Saturday before the fights, except for this Saturday. I will be live for the main card for UFC 280, but join me Wednesday. I will answer questions, go over bets, do all this stuff. I want to make this video very quick, very concise, and to the point. If you are excited for 280, you are going to make money on 280. You cannot wait for Saturday to get here. Go ahead and like the video, subscribe if you are new, and let's get right into the action. So first up, we have Lina versus Karol Rosa, and I'm saying right now, nobody really cares nobody really cares about this fight, but let's get into a quick breakdown. Do not bet on women's MMA. I can't make it any more simple than that. Never bet on women's MMA. A lot of times it goes to judges' scorecards, and those scorecards get wild. So we don't want to rely on the judges. Don't bet on women's MMA. When it comes down to this fight, especially this one, Lina's one of those kind of old-timey women that knows what she wants to do and can get women to fight the way that she wants to fight. She gets girls against the cage, she slows the fight down, and for some reason, they want to fight the way that she fights. It's crazy. In the open, on the ground, she isn't going to be better than Rosa pretty much anywhere, right? Rosa is the better fighter, but for some reason, people want to fight the way that she fights sometimes, and it will go to a judge's decision, and then the judges will screw something up, probably. I have a weird feeling that Lina's going to slow this fight down, Rosa's going to fight her fight, and this is going to go to a judge's decision, and it is going to get wild. But Rosa, you know, should be the better fighter. She is kind of more of the dog in this matchup, so if the fight starts to get ugly, I'm definitely going to side with Rosa in this fight. But I'm telling you right now, stay away from it, sit back, enjoy. If you're a little bit late to the fights, you want to sleep in a little bit, you got to fight to do that. Let's move on to something a little bit more important. Next up, we have Mokaev versus Malcolm Gordon. I think Mokaev is a real deal, guys. I really do think he's a real deal, but I think this is kind of a real test. I think the odds are a little bit wide on this fight. As he moves up the rankings, those takedowns that he needs to control fights are going to become harder and harder and harder to get. And once he cannot get those takedowns, let's say he runs into somebody eventually where he cannot get those takedowns, then what is going to happen? Because his striking, although it is good enough, it's still pretty raw. And with his confidence and with the way that he kind of moves around the octagon with raw striking against somebody that can defend takedowns, he could run into some issues at some point. The question is Malcolm Gordon going to be that guy to defend the takedowns, win striking exchanges versus Mokaev? And I'll be honest, I just don't think that he's going to be that guy. But Malcolm Gordon, if he comes in and maybe tries to offensive wrestle the wrestler, he could have some success there, right? You watch his fight versus Figgy Sr. He had some success in the scrambles and has really, really good top pressure. And we've seen Mokaev get taken down before. So can Gordon win some scrambles, offensive wrestles to withstand the pressure and pace of Mokaev? You know, I think that Mokaev really has to be careful in this fight. If he comes in, hands low, Malcolm Gordon's one of those guys that's very explosive, even in the striking, to get to the wrestling. But I got to imagine that Malcolm Gordon's aggression is probably going to work against him. He's going to try to do some wild stuff. Mokaev's going to dive underneath those legs or dive underneath those strikes to get to the legs, take him down, and do what he does. I wouldn't be surprised if this fight gets over early. I know Mokaev really was trying to chase a finish in his last fight. This is going to be in front of a big crowd against a guy that's super aggressive. Mokaev should be there to win the wrestling, to win the scrambles, and find a submission win, in my mind, early. So I got Mokaev in this fight. Let's move on to the next one. Next up, we have Armen Petrosyan versus A.J. Dobson. And Armen's one of those dudes that at 185, he is going to be able to strike or outstrike most 185ers. His grappling is improving, but there is something left to be desired when it comes to just pure wrestling. Once he gets down to the ground, let's say you take him down to the ground and you have his back, he doesn't panic, right? He kind of works through the positions, but he really, really struggles to get back to his feet. I do love his kick and punch combination. He kind of reminds me of Bobby Knuckles, the way that he can throw punches with kicks or lead with kicks and finish with punch combinations. AJ, on the other side, also has very quick hands. Very quick hands, very quick combinations with his hands and with his feet. He has pretty good takedown defense, even though I don't think it's going to matter in this fight because Armen, being the kickboxer that he is, his takedown that he has in the Contender Series was like this weird kind of scramble, so I wouldn't rely on the takedowns of AJ Dobson, although I think that if AJ wants the easiest path to victory, he should wrestle in this fight, but I don't think he's going to. I think this is going to be a stand-up battle between a dynamic kickboxer and Armen Petrosyan versus an AJ Dobson who, yes, has good hands, but the way that he is flat-footed in his strikings, I think is going to clash horribly versus the dynamic in-and-out striking of Armen. If AJ plans on just flat-footed striking, boxing combinations with Armen, he is just going to be nowhere to be found. And he's going to be coming with the clear, quick counter shots and with the extended combinations, and that's what's going to give AJ trouble in this fight. So I think it's a standing match mostly. I think Armen should have the striking advantages in a striking match, so I like Armen in this fight to pretty much dominate on the feet. Although AJ does have slick power and does have some nice, quick, straight combinations. We'll see how it plays out. I like Armen in this fight. Next up, we have Nurmagomedov versus Gadzhi, whatever his last name is, and this is also a clash of styles. The biggest question mark is Gadzhi coming down. His first loss, by the way, he pretty much quit in that loss, right? He got kneed, he didn't look like he was hurt, and then he realized he could get out of a fight he was losing and pretended to be hurt. It went to a judge's scorecard. He lost the decision, 185. His first loss, he comes down to 170. This is his first fight at 170, so we'll see how he looks on the scales. But this is a clash of styles. Abu is a decent striker, right? Most people are going to be better strikers than Abu, but he has very good wrestling. Nurmagomedov, he lives up to his name with his wrestling, but Gadzhi is a dude that comes in, and when he throws, Abu is technical, right? He stays technical, got a nice jab, works for the wrestling. Gadzhi is a guy that comes wild with shit, right? I mean, over the top right hands, wild left hands. I think he threw a punch in his last fight and like spun like a top and fell down. So this is definitely a clash in styles, and one of those fights where I'm going to be looking at inside the distance decisional action for Gadzhi. I'm going to pick Abu in this fight because I think he's a much more calm, technical, can slow down the pace of Gadzhi with his wrestling, more natural weight class. But if Gadzhi comes in, has a good weight cut, carries over that power, and lands some of those big shots that he throws wildly, or maybe is able to use some offensive wrestling being the bigger guy, that's when he can kind of take over the fight. But as far as a safer pick and the more reliable guy in this matchup, you got to go with Abu Nurmagomedov to withstand the wild striking of Gadzhi, get this fight to the ground. And Gadzhi, we've seen him on the ground before be controlled, and I think that's with a path to victory for Abu in this matchup. So I like Abu Nurmagomedov to win this, but I kind of like Gadzhi as kind of a wild play because he is a wild dude. Let's move on to the next one. Next up, we have Yamato versus Magomed, and this is pretty straightforward, guys. This is going to be a very, very tall task for Yamato. His level of competition has been great. UFC debut. He's only 19 years old, which is crazy. And I'll be honest, looking at film at him at 19 years old, he looks like he has some potential, but he's still a little bit raw. He looks like a little bit of a wrecking ball in the octagon at times. And Magomed is who he is, man. He's going to control this fight. He's probably going to get to the fight to the ground. Probably going to finish it early. This is a very tall task for Yamato. And unfortunately, I don't think he's going to have the skills. And it's just a next level when it comes to Magomed in this fight, either in the striking. I assume that he's going to get this fight to the ground early. If you're Yamato in this matchup, you can't try to fight this fight like a normal fight. You can't come in thinking, okay, 3 rounds, let me dance with this guy. See, you got to come in, throw wild shit, and just hope something lands. But unfortunately in this matchup, I don't think it's going to be able to. Magomed is a guy that went toe-to-toe with Fiziev, knocked him out, went toe-to-toe with Brad Riddell. He did get dropped, right? So Yamato in the first round, if you're throwing some wild shit, Magomed has been dropped before. But I think he's just going to be able to withstand the striking, get this fight to the ground, and do what he needs to do to win this fight. I am Magomed all the way in this matchup. Next up, we have Zuba versus Lucas Almeida, and I can't wait for this fight. This is one of the rare fights on this card. We have a lot of big favorites on the card. This is one of those rare fights on the card with a very, very live underdog in Lucas Almeida. And if you guys want to criticize me on this, I'm going to say something wild right here. But Zuba, in his striking, doesn't have the power, but in his striking, the way that he counter strikes in slick in and out style and kind of dips off and throws those counter shots, it reminds me of Conor McGregor. Call me crazy in the comments. It reminds me of Conor McGregor, the way that he strikes, and that's going to be his best asset in this fight because Lucas Almeida is a very, very dangerous, dynamic striker, and Zuba is going to need those crisp counters to withstand the power and precision of Lucas Almeida because Lucas Almeida is a finisher, man. He is a very, very big finisher. He has all wins or all finishes, no decision wins. And coming into this matchup, I just feel like in the striking, this should be a mostly striking matchup, although Zuba does have the wrestling in his back pocket. If he feels like he's getting hurt or he feels like he's losing a round, he can go to these explosive takedowns to try to win rounds. Can he get those takedowns versus Lucas? I think it's going to be tough, especially if he's doing them while he's hurt, right? I think if I'm Zuba, I wrestle early, then try to wear down that striking of Lucas Almeida. But in this matchup, a mostly striking matchup in my mind, I'm going to go with the more dangerous guy. Zuba, very, very good striker, very, very good counter striker. But I'm going to go with the danger and the way that Lucas can carry his power through 3 rounds. He's not a first round or bust type of guy. He can carry that power through 3 rounds. I got to go with the more dangerous striker and Lucas, but this is a coin flip, and I can't wait. This is going to be one of the better fights on the card. Next up, we have Volkan versus Krylov, and I think this is pretty simple. I think this fight is very, very cut and dry, and it comes down to Krylov. It comes down to how Krylov wants to fight this fight. He's going to have the speed advantage, but if he comes in against a guy like Volkan who sits on shots, Volkan will just kind of stalk you, right? When he's striking, he's very slow pace, nothing's too crazy, but when he goes, and he goes heavy. And if Krylov comes in and thinks, oh, let me just fight this dude like I fought Gustafsson and tries to trade with this guy, he can get knocked out. And he can get knocked out very, very quickly. So Krylov in this fight should be the better striker, should be the faster striker. Needs to take his time, man. He needs to just play the game, take his time, wait for those shots, because those shots will open up, right? Volkan will get frustrated. He'll throw heavy. You can wait for those counters. But if Krylov comes in and thinks, let me get an early first-round finish, Volkan can sit on a shot and can knock out anybody in this division. So for this, I have to go with Krylov because he is the more dynamic striker, has the speed advantage. Volkan's going to definitely have the power advantage. But this is one of those fights where I'm probably going to stay away from my money because Krylov could come in, basically act like an idiot, and lose his fight on the Volkan power side. So Krylov, take your time, dance around, pick your shots. I got to go with him in this matchup. But Volkan, I think, is very, very live with his power. Next up, we have Muradov versus Kyle. And I'll be honest with you guys, Kyle is one of those guys that is stepping up to the plate and becoming a guy. When I broke down this fight, the question quite simply, for every single Kyle fight coming up now in the future is how or who or what can this fighter do blank to beat Kyle, because Kyle is that good. You have to try and beat him. It's not like a back and forth matchup. Who's going to win? This is going to be Kyle's fight to lose, and can Muradov beat him in this matchup? I see this the same way as kind of the Malcolm Gordon Mokaev fight. Malcolm Gordon needs to come in, maybe get a little bit wild, take some chances, but at the same time, that could be his downfall, because if Malcolm Gordon is throwing big shots, Mokaev could be there with the takedowns. This is the same situation. Muradov is one of those dudes that can get a little bit wild, right? And in those wild striking exchanges, Kyle is so good at timing those takedowns. And once Kyle gets you to the ground, it is game over. I don't care who you are in this division. He is going to be a problem for years and years to come. So the question is, can Muradov beat Kyle? And I think he can. I think that he can. I think the percentages are low because Kyle is a guy that doesn't necessarily need the takedowns. The takedowns are there, and that's the path to victory. But he can also play that stand-up game. He's a pretty good dynamic striker in his own right. But Muradov needs to keep this fight on the feet. There's no doubt about that. And he needs to just hope that he can land a big shot at some point. And yes, these are big dudes. He is going to be live because he throws heavy, he throws wild. Kyle should be more than experienced enough to withstand the big shots, time those takedowns, get this fight to the ground, and do what he does, and that is dominate this fight. I love Kyle in this matchup, although I do think Muradov is live. I don't think he's super live. I would put his chances at winning at maybe 25% because he's going to have the power, but Kyle should dominate this fight. I got him in parlays, and I cannot wait for this fight. He is my dude from here on out. Let's get into the most overrated fighter in the UFC, and you can quote me on that all week and come back and tell me I'm stupid if he wins. Belal Muhammad is the most overrated fighter in the UFC, and I cannot wait for Sean Brady to do what he's going to do to this dude. Belal Muhammad has one path to victory. Lay and pray. Take down, lay on him. That's all he wants to do. And people are going to be saying, Khabib's in his corner. Khabib is not going to fight. Khabib is going to be screaming at Belal on yelling instructions at him on how to get Sean Brady off his back, because Belal is going to be clueless in this matchup versus my dude Sean Brady. I cannot stand Belal Muhammad. I don't mind him as a person. He seems like a funny dude, good analysis, but as a fighter, I cannot stand Belal Muhammad. It is well documented how much I cannot stand that guy. So this is a very biased pick, but I think Sean Brady absolutely dominates this fight. I have a 10-unit parlay on Sean Brady and the next fighter we're about to talk about. I cannot wait for Sean Brady to dominate this fight. He's going to offensive wrestle. He's going to get this fight to the ground. He's going to control the top position on Belal Muhammad, or he'll just keep it standing and he'll just knock Belal out, because Belal is zero threat on the feet as well. If Leon Edwards did not poke out Belal Muhammad's eye, Leon Edwards was going to beat Belal Muhammad so bad that they were going to cut Belal Muhammad. You would never even heard of him again. The eye poke was the best thing to ever happen to Belal Muhammad. I cannot wait for Sean Brady to destroy this dude. Let's get into the next fight. Next up, we have the second most overrated fighter in the entire world, Katlyn Chookagian. She lost to Amanda Ribas. She lost to Vivia Rougeau. She's going to get absolutely destroyed by Manon Fiorot, and I cannot wait to watch. This is going to be the back-to-back fights, the most fun I've ever had watching the fights. Join me Saturday for the live stream. I'm going to go live just before the Belal Muhammad Sean Brady fight, and we can watch these together. If something happens and I'm wrong, feel free to tell me I'm stupid. Katlyn Chookagian throws punches. She's never landed a punch in her life. She pretends to land punches. The judges see her pretend to land punches. They give her wild judges scorecard decisions. She's lost 2 of her last 3 fights. Manon Fiorot finally has the length and striking abilities to withstand the stupid style of Katlyn Chookagian, and I cannot wait for her to absolutely destroy Katlyn in this matchup. She's going to be the better striker. She's going to be better everywhere. Unless Katlyn comes in and like wrestles for whatever weird reason and dominates the fight there. That's the only path to victory I've seen. But Manon should do whatever she wants to do with her karate style. Get in there, get in the face, and destroy Katlyn Chookagian. And I'm going to light up a cigar after this parlay I hit of my Manon Fiorot and Sean Brady live stream Saturday. Join me here. Let's get to the next fight. Next up, we have Gamrot versus Dariush, and this is another one. In my mind, and I'm a Gamrot guy, so I am biased. This is pretty cut and dry. There is nobody on this planet in the lightweight division that is better than Gamrot, except for Damir Ismagulov. That is the only the lightweight rankings right now, and you're not going to like this, is Damir at number 1, Gamrot at number 2. It is Garam, who just lost a split decision to Damir. It is Garam at number 3. It is Islam at number 4. It is Charles Oliveira at number 5. And it is Armen Sarukian at number 6. Gamrot, Damir, Garam, and Armen are the 4 young dudes. I know Gamrot's not like super young, but those are the next dudes of the division. Don't look at the lightweight rankings. These are the next dudes. Gamrot is going to do whatever he wants to do in this fight. If he wants to win the striking, he can win the striking. If he wants to win the grappling, he can win the grappling. He is the next champion of the 155 division. Whoever wins the championship this Friday or this Saturday between Charles and Islam, they are going to have to fight Gamrot at some point, and Gamrot beats either one of those fighters. I believe fully in Gamrot. Let me know in the comments below if you don't agree with me, but I think he absolutely dominates this fight. I have big bets on him already. Become a premium member at WeWantPicks.com to check out all the premium bets, but I cannot wait for this fight. That is my dude. I am biased. I don't see any world where Dariush wins this fight unless he lands some weird shot on a Hail Mary. I'm Gamrot all the way. Petr Yan and Sean O'Malley. Let's get right to it. Petr Yan is going to dominate this fight. I love Sugar. I'm a big Sugar guy. I got good value on Sugar on a bet, plus 370. I got it 2 months ago. The guy's a plus 230 right now, so I like that bet at the value. He is a finisher. But for Sugar to win this fight, he needs to land clean shots. He knocks people out with clean shots. You cannot get a clean shot on Petr Yan. The way that he holds that high guard, the way that he counterboxes and in and out. First of all, I don't think there's much boxing in this fight. I think Petr Yan takes him down immediately. Sean O'Malley is shelled up for 3 rounds, and Petr Yan will just beat him on the ground for however long it takes to finish this fight. Whether it goes the distance, whether it happens in the first round, I think most of this fight is Sean on his back, turtled up, and Petr Yan just raining down elbows and strikes. But if Petr Yan wants to strike with him as well, Sean O'Malley is not going to be able to land those clean shots to even stagger Petr Yan. And Petr Yan's boxing, once he gets that range, he can outbox Sugar. So just assuming that Sugar is going to come in and be the better striker of the matchup for the first minute and a half, he probably will be if he doesn't get taken down. But Petr Yan will absolutely dominate this fight. I'm a big Sugar guy, but this is a very, very tough matchup for him. He has to fight people he can land clean shots on. And nobody is landing clean shots on Petr Yan. He is going to dominate this fight. I think he takes it down early, ground and pound to the distance, and we'll see how it goes. My pick for this fight, Petr Yan. Aljamain Sterling versus TJ Dillashaw, and I'll be honest with you guys. I'm a big Aljo guy. If you guys know me, I'm a big Aljo guy. I picked him in the first fight versus Petr. I picked him in the second fight versus Petr, and I told everyone that he was going to backpack Petr Yan and win that title. And that's exactly what he did. He did it for the first 3 rounds, did what he needed to do to win the title. People say that Petr, I don't think that Petr won that fight. I'm a big Aljo guy. This is a bad matchup. This is a bad matchup for Aljamain Sterling because Petr Yan was taken off guard by the takedowns of Aljo in that second fight. Aljo couldn't get the takedowns in the first fight, so Petr was like, oh, he's not going to get the takedowns in the second fight. He got some takedowns. Petr made some adjustments. It is what it is. TJ knows what to expect. And that's the only path to victory for Aljo. Aljo is one-dimensional. Get the fight to the ground, win scrambles, get on the back, and submit people. If he can't do that, we've seen what he can do on the feet, and that's basically nothing. He's pillow-fisted to get to the wrestling, to get the fight to the ground, to backpack people and win fights that way. TJ could offensive wrestle. He's definitely the better striker, and what do we say about picking the better striker in a mostly striking matchup? I think TJ is able to withstand the takedowns of Aljo and absolutely dominate all the striking exchanges. Pillow-fisted Aljo will have nothing on the feet. I don't think he's going to be able to get the takedowns, and I see TJ Dillashaw, unfortunately, kind of dominating this fight because I don't like TJ. I think he's a snake just like everyone else. He's a cheater. I like Aljo, but I got to put biases aside when I see them, and I think TJ Dillashaw absolutely dominates this fight, either with offensive wrestling or defends the takedowns and wins every single striking exchange. So my pick for this fight, TJ Dillashaw. Main event time between Charles Oliveira and Islam Makhachev. And I'm torn. I am one of those rare people that loves both fighters. I think Islam is hilarious, by the way. If you've never watched Islam and those conversations with DC and Khabib, his English is getting better, but he has that dry sense of humor that is just hilarious. And obviously, Charles is the champ, right? Charles, the champ, has his name, and his name is Charles Du Bronx Oliveira. And I'm back and forth on this fight. My heart tells me Charles will get it done. I just placed a few bets on Charles. Become a premium member, WeOwnPicks.com to check out those bets. I placed a little bit on Charles. I'm not going to place any money on Islam, probably, but my heart is telling me Charles. My mind is telling me Islam. I just feel like Islam, grappling his entire life, is going to be able to withstand whatever submission threat that Charles throws him on the ground. The biggest question mark is, can he hang on the feet? Because maybe Charles is good enough to withstand some takedowns or scramble enough to get back to his feet. And now Islam is all of a sudden forced to win a striking battle versus Charles Oliveira. We know how dangerous Charles Oliveira is. I think the pace, the pressure, and the non-stop wrestling of Islam is eventually going to wear Charles down, because most people don't wrestle Charles. Even when they knock him down, he's been knocked down. I mean, it's like every single fight, Charles getting knocked down. People don't fall him to the ground. Nobody wants to go to the ground. Islam will go to the ground. He will wear down Charles. And I think Charles is very live. 1 round, 2 rounds, right? I think in the first 2 rounds, on the feet, on the ground, he's very, very live. But if there is no finish on his side, out of the second round, I think he's just way too worn down to be a huge threat on the feet. And if he starts just playing the jiu-jitsu game, from his guard, from the bat, from the bottom against Islam in the 3rd, 4th, and 5th rounds. I just don't think he's going to have enough, and Islam's going to be there with pace, pressure, and positioning to win this fight. So yes, I think Charles is very live. 1st round, 2nd round. I have bets placed on that. Go to WeWantPicks.com, become a premium member to check out those bets. But my pick for this fight, I got to go with my mind. I'm going with Islam to win this fight. I don't think he's going to get a finish, but I think he just grinds Charles, wears him out, and you're going to see Charles more tired than you have ever seen him going into that 3rd round, and then Islam just kind of takes over from there and just absolutely controls him the rest of the fight. So that was my breakdown for UFC 280. I want to thank you guys again for joining me for my first quick pick video. If you guys liked the video, make sure you like it. If you are new, make sure you subscribe. Make sure you join me and Angelo Tuesday night, every Tuesday night for our live card breakdowns. I will be live Wednesday night to answer any questions, go over my bets. Thursday, we have our Lock of the Week video. Friday, we have our betting video. Saturday, I will be live as well. Check out Angelo's quick pick video on Sunday. He posted on Sunday to get all of his picks as well. Let me know in the comments if you agree or disagree with any of my picks. I don't mind going back and forth. Join the Discord below as well. It is free. And I want to thank you guys again. We are out. Peace.